welcome back to day 3 of Masters Bangkok. I hope you guys had a nice breather there because we have another banger coming up. It will be EDG versus G2 Esports, another battle of the #1 seed. I am your host, Yingsu, and I'm back here once again, joined by Kakuka and Bren. You guys, I'm not doing so hot because it's so intense and it's so crazy. Do you guys think it's gonna ramp up from what we just witnessed?
I mean, that's got to be some of the peak, no? Like, between two of the winning teams, you got to imagine. But that was like...
I want to say the same from G2. That was intense.
I know,
that
right?
abyss, that split. Come on, we need 6 maps today.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it, to be honest. You've got some of the best teams competing against each other. EDG, they've got like their 20-man roster up there on a stage setting up right now behind it. They always run deep. Listen, their crew today, listen, you can't get past them in the hallways, I'll tell you that much. But I'm looking forward to this match here. This is the one that I think everybody, when you speak to them, they've been looking forward to this match here today, despite the fact that that first one was a banger.
Yeah, and sometimes when it comes to a rematch, it's a little bit of like a fake narrative because, you know, there's roster changes, there's a whole year. But when it comes to this rematch, Kakuka, there's only been 1 roster change.
Yeah, exactly. Only on the side of Juggernaut. And it's so crazy to think about champs because the last time that EDG lost in an international, in a global stage, was against G2, and that was their last one. They became champions after that. And for G2, it was devastating because that was the last win that they had at Champions. And so, of course, there's a lot of history going on to this, but the teams and the way that they face and play the game have changed a lot.
Absolutely, but listen, G2, one of the few teams that have made EDG bleed, and there's one thing that EDG don't like, it's looking mortal. Because these guys, they're out to set out a dynasty at the end of the day as well, as an org that can potentially get as well a back-to-back from Champs itself, which no team has managed to do. And they're looking primed to potentially do it. They've got 2 weeks of a break as well. They've shored up a lot of their maps. G2 have got a hell of a task.
I mean, we mentioned EDG, they're the 2024 champions, but let's hear from another champs winner. Jogamo is standing by with Mika fast.
I'm standing here right now with Jogamo of G2. Now, we know you're so excited for this match. We've seen all of the social media content, all of the jersey swaps and everything. And it's not every day you'd get 2 former champion duelists, you know, going head-to-head. So I have to ask you, whenever you go up against a really powerful duelist like Kong, do you find yourself adjusting your own playstyle because you guys are usually the first point of contact?
Yeah, I would say definitely going against like a stronger duelist like Kong, I definitely would adjust my playstyle a little bit more than normal. But I can't be too passive, can't be too aggressive. I got to find the right spot to figure out what he's doing. But he's also doing the same thing that I'm doing. So it's like battle of the giants right now. So I'm excited to play him, like I said, and I can't wait to play.
Yeah, it's a mind games, right? We're excited to see it. Good luck out there.
I think Jog summed it up really well there. He's kind of like the Goldilocks sort of duelist. He's always just right, you know? When he's passive, it's great. When he's aggressive, it's great. At this point, I feel like Bren, he could do no wrong.
Yeah, both of them, him and Kang that he was talking about as well, his counterpart across the stage, they both have the ability to just take control of a moment in the game. I think to understand the timings and when they should potentially push and just command a play themselves. Like Jogamo has inserted himself into G2, and this is something they were sorely missing last year as a team. That oomph factor, which Jogamo has added in.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's lovely to see how all the pieces merge so well together. You're not going to see, especially when you look at the score, someone just completely obliterating the other team. Is everybody showing up? Absolutely lethal in some of these duels. And as we're seeing, they converted 19 out of 19 first kills, meaning that if they get that opener, the round is going for themselves. But again, that was the first match.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, this is the game versus Trace here. I mean, just to add on to this, if you're unfamiliar with Trace as well, if you're just watching this and tuning in, Trace are not a bad team by any margins at all, actually. And they had a pretty sizable chance, I think, in terms of like matching up against G2 quite well. But G2, they made them look like a tier 2 team here at one of our biggest events of the year. They are really cementing themselves that there's almost like this tier gap between them and a lot of the rest of the competition. But now they're up against some of the heaviest hitters, if not, you know, listen, the big brother team, which is EDG.
Yeah, and for G2, you know, we talk about how amazing they're looking. And a lot of that has come down to the way that Trent, Kakuka, has been playing that Tickle.
Yeah, extremely proactive in his decision-making. I think that it is very easy for the rest of the team to play around it. Look at this beautiful play with the TP and both the Salvos and the Armageddon. There is so much going on. Of course, the kills are definitely beautiful, but the micro plays at the beginning of the round, it is so disrupted. And that has nothing to do with Trace. Any team would be on the receiving end would look like a fool.
Yeah, G2 are such a heavy protocol team, like where if they do X, we're going to do Y, and you can just tell the level of depth that they add into their map pool, and a lot of it is just based around Tread. It makes him look like a god, because his util is going to be impeccable most of these rounds, and he is, I think, leading the charge in terms of Taeho usage right now. Taeho is heavily becoming just meta at this point. I don't really know any team that's not running Taeho at this point in the tournament, or even just the meta game.
I think it's the most picked agent at the time,
It's got to be.
moment.
It's got to be at this point.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on nobody, but he wasn't on the Taeho duty before this tournament. It is newer for him.
Yeah. It was a little bit between him and Simon. So I like the fact if they're going to fully commit to have one player on Taeho, hey, Frame is pretty good. I think that you should take some advice from just giving the player the flexibility to just be focused on that agent for when you come into this big stage and everybody is putting their time into perfection in it.
And speaking of perfection, Leaf, at this point, you know, we speak about MVP contenders, and he's definitely got to be up there.
He's frying. He's absolutely frying, or at least he was in the Trace game, and he has frequently throughout America's kickoff as well. And he's just such an intelligent player. I'm gonna rehash what I was saying earlier when we were talking about him in kind of MVP contention earlier on. But his level of game sense makes it look like he's sometimes playing with wall hacks, and he can just spot these gaps and where to play. And it's not just that, it's the aim on top of it. He's got it all together.
It is so difficult in that situation when you have 3 people pushing you, and let me tell you, with EDG, that will happen today. To be able to isolate those skills and to be so cold and stay so calm in those situations.
You can't give him 1v1s like that. Maybe not even 2v1s. Maybe 3v1 is a little bit safer, right? EDG, they gotta be a little bit more disciplined today.
Yeah, but the difference is like of a millisecond. I think that there on Lotus we had some examples also on C, and then when he moves on to the chamber, when we saw him yesterday, I was lost.
Well, let's talk about EDG a little bit more, because the fans here are absolutely behind them. I think for them, the 2024 Champs winners coming to Thailand is a very big deal. And we've seen just how loud they can be for EDG. And that's a lot of pressure, Brent.
They were taking over the arena, and Kang said in our opening piece as well about how it's an honor and a burden to have the kind of eye of the fans that are focusing down onto you. But for EDG, they're a very unique team in my mind, because they don't crumble under the pressure. They actually just form into diamonds most of the time. When the going gets rough and when you play against even tougher opponents, I feel like they just lock in, and the discipline comes through, the mechanics come through, everything starts coming through the deeper they get into tournaments. We saw that at Champs last year. I was counting them out nice and early into Seoul, and I was made to look like I had egg on my face. And I ain't talking about Josh, who's sat over there.
Okay. But yeah, in regards to EDG, I really like the face that they're showing here today, because I agree with you. They become even bigger when they go against big opponents, because regionally, and I remember what reviewed, there were some of the things that I see and I think this is not going to work against this and this. This is like very specific because of how they play and what agents they play also in China, and how is like maybe not up to speed with what the rest of the world is doing.
Do you like what we saw in terms of comms against Liquid?
Absolutely love it. The fact that they are able to change things like this, like bringing in the Yoru for Kang. We know that he had played it regionally, and he had won 1 map out of 5 that he had done, but it was something that definitely was on the to-do list for this event. If you want to thrive, you have to be on the Yoru, and not only on the Yoru, you want the Taeho, you want the Vice, you want to be up to speed with the rest of the world.
Yeah, they've definitely caught up. They used those 2 weeks and they've used them well, and it's added this unknown right now. There's question marks with EDG's map pool, and I think that's a major difficulty for G2. They love to counter-strike, they love to prep for teams. EDG, unknown quantity right now.
Hopefully we get some answers, because earlier Mika caught up with Smoggy.
Hey guys, Mika and Luna here with Smoggy, and that means the defending champions are back. Now, last year Champions Seoul, EDG was only defeated by G2, so this makes it a very exciting matchup. You are facing them once again, and many say that this roster of G2 is better because of Jogimo. What's different about EDG this time around?
那其实在去年的首尔冠军赛 ，G2 是唯一一支击败过 EDG 的队伍，而且很多人可能会说，现在在 Jogimo 加入之后 ，G2 似乎变得更强了。那这一次 EDG 又会做出哪些改变呢？
我们不会管他们队伍的换阵，因为我们经历过5杠26，我们也拿到了全球冠军赛的冠军，就是我觉得我们的心态和韧性都 提升了很多，就是算是质的飞跃，所以我们不会管对手是谁，我们只会去做我们该做的事。
Actually, I mean, we have faced against, we have got through a lot. We don't really care about their roster change. You know, we have been the 526, but also we are the championship right now of Champion Soul. I mean, we got our resilience right now. We got our mentality. We have changed a lot. We have a huge change right now.
Well, thank you very much for your time and good luck.
I mean, of course they're not going to care that much the fact that Jorg joined G2 because Kakuka, Kong is still here, G2 is still here, and they're performing great.
Yeah, exactly. I was mentioning earlier, yes, it's great to see Kang picking up on the You would love to see Chicho in the performance that he was also having individually. Having this kind of freedom, this kind of comfort with an agent that you have not played that match and definitely you could think was not global stage ready is amazing to see.
Yeah, and he doesn't slow down at all. I mean, we're seeing the op shots there. He's got to be one of the flashiest players to watch as well. I mean, his aim is so unique in terms of how many flicks he takes on top of it. But G2 in this matchup, you listen, the student versus the master, he got his chance to play against Nats, his idol, right? And he dominated him. I mean, he dropped, I think, 30 kills into the first map, which did end up going into almost record-breaking OT. But listen, the second map, he just carried it forwards as well, top fragging, I believe, onto his team for Pearl. So both him and Kang have been delivering onto that high level that we expect from him now at this point.
And for so many teams, going up against G2 will be like, oh my god, I don't want to, you know, like I can feel the nerves, or I know that they're performing dramatically well. But for EDG, they know that they are the team to beat and not the other way around. That's the way they see themselves.
I hope they carry that level of confidence and mentality onto the stage, because what we saw of G2 though, when they went up against Trace, I don't even think they let Trace have a moment to get into the game. They just completely overran them. Do you think that there might be a risk of that happening again for EDG?
No. I don't see EDG to be a team like that. I think that they trust a lot in their protocols, the sending 3-man and just going in for the fight. The Trace is always going to be there, and they perfectly know what to do in those situations. It's almost as if their plans are made for not having 5 players alive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that G2 are such a heavy prep team, and they're just going to be focusing probably on their own game coming into this because there's so many unknowns of what EDG could potentially be running as a comp. But as I mentioned earlier, like EDG are a team that sometimes they can play down to their opponents, but they definitely play up. When their opponents are really, really good, they're going to pull on their star players, putting up amazing numbers. The discipline's going to be there, the trades are going to be intact. So EDG are fully capable, I think, of giving G2 a really, really good game and testing them.
There is one thing that I think can be known is because EDG, they have a permaban, right? If they don't take away the Abyss, they might have to go Pearl, which means, Bren, nobody wants to play Pearl against G2. I think that would be a silly thing to do in this tournament.
It would be. The trouble is with G2's map pool, it's so wide that you kind of have to let in at least Pearl or one of the other maps that they really enjoy playing. And they have had experience about what G2 like to play. I mean, Team Liquid copied G2's comp the other day. So they have
BBL's comp.
BBL's comp.
Did BBL do it first? Okay,
BBL
my bad. I wasn't familiar with BBL's game. I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar with their game. But they have experience. It's not going to be the same because G2 are going to be more well-versed on it. But they have experience playing against it. That's more than some teams can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that for today, the nerves are not going to be a quantity that they should be worried. They already see themselves as winner.
Well, this is it. It's time for the second banger of today, and to send it down to stage to bring out our teams. Here is G2 taking on EDG. A rematch from Champions 2024. G2 and EDG have to face each other once again for a spot at playoffs and a chance to lift the first global trophy of the year. It is not going to be easy.
No, and EDG, remember what it's like losing on the international stage. And the last time that they did so was against G2. They will not let it happen again. Right now, they're the defending champions.
Yeah, definitely so. But they're going to be remembering as well that G2 were the one team that made them bleed when they were looking strongest.
Yeah, and I'm so intrigued to see the map vetoes here, like we've spoken about already. G2's map will just look so good. EDG have to pick their poison here.
After what I saw yesterday on Abyss, I don't think that they want to go there.
Yeah, but then they have to go to the Pearl if they take away the Abyss. And to remind you guys, EDG do come in here as the first seed because of what happened at the draw. And it looks like they pick their poison. We are going to get Pearl instantly.
Yeah,
Pearl.
Exactly. Oh my god, a little bit more chamber.
And Bind as the second map is also kind of interesting because, listen, G2 have been banning this now in their most recent 2 matches, but I feel like like they might have just left it open as a bit of a trap play, because G2 can play Haven as well. They lean away from it sometimes, but I'm worried a little bit for EDG.
I wanna run into the narrative of what we were seeing in the previous match of like Pickett leaving split as the last man for DRX. I think that for G2, this is kind of like a similar situation. The bind, as you said, they banned it in the previous last 2 matches, but it's a map that they've been leaving open. They have not played it yet this year, but they were happy to do so. It's just the other teams in Americas that didn't like the idea.
Yeah, and also EDG, they just don't want to go to Lotus either. They decided to leave Fracture as the last map.
Be so interesting, because I feel like there is a gap between the Chinese teams and the rest of the world with Fracture, because it was out of the map for a year, and what not many things have changed. What is not going to be changing,
no surprises,
is the compositions in both of these 2 teams. Again, I see Leaf on the chamber. I personally run.
Yeah, this is going to be such an interesting game as well. And if EDG have done a bit more preparation as well, there's potential then for, I think, to really punish Leaf and his setups with the rendezvous, the TP. It puts the chamber in predictable places on Pearl. There's only so much you can really be tethered to those spots. So there's potential for nobody to really play spoiler to him, I think, as well, with the salvos at work. But this is going to be a bloodbath, I think, from beginning to end all the way.
And the head-to-head between these 2 duelists, between Jogamo and what he was able to achieve in Americas, and Kankan coming back into the international stage.
Well, I hope you guys at home are hungry, because it looks like we've got some eggs in a pan on the menu. Enjoy this one.
That was far too good. Thank you very much on the desk. And I kind of have to highlight this one. Clash of the Titans, battle of the best, call it what you want. This is going to be one of the best games here today.
Yeah, you have 6 players in the server here that have hoisted a Champions Trophy at some point. You've also got the only team to have beaten EDG when they won at Champions last year. That was G2 in the group stage. We're seeing it again in the group stage, the Swiss stage here. This has got Grand Finals preview written all over it.
Oh, it certainly has the pedigree and then some. But the proof's in the pudding, and we're about to dive into this. So on the attacking side, EDG, of course, meaning G2 on the defense.
Look at this. They've dodged the recon dart at the beginning. This shows that they're pretty aware of how Trent likes to play over towards A main. It should be unexpected, and they can jump onto him as soon as they take contact.
Trent gets to keep his life here. Looks like he's trying to back towards A. He was looking like he was indecisive, and he's punished on that. Effective trades, at least for now, until nobody tips the scales. Sight looking somewhat secure, but the spike did get dropped. So the plant should be on the cards next.
This is going to buy time for the rest of G2 to get close. Jorg flashes out immediately. They don't have much more util for the retake.
Yeah, looking for that reposition towards Art here. 2 of them posting up in this post-plant. Chichu dedicated towards the site, but G2 starting to take those steps, trying to be bold about it. Chichu, the first contact made. Jogamo clears. Jonah P bringing it all down to Smarty! What is that for a beginning?
That's a 1v3 that shouldn't be happening. What a way to open. If that's a taste of things to come, we've got a treat before us. Red Bull clutch coming out in a way that I feel like G2 should have been able to trade this kill. The final shot, though, through the box, that one's beautiful.
Bloody
And he does isolate the duel onto Jonah P wonderfully, doesn't he? They need, I think, heroes today, EDG, because, for starters, on Pearl, they're playing a composition that is a little new to them. They're playing against a meta leader in G2. Despite the fact that they've got the tape advantage and they can do some anti, as you saw in the pistol round, I mean, that was a very specific to G2 kind of pistol they pulled out. They're gonna need heroes to step up, I think.
And luckily for EDG, they got them in droves here, but see how this lands. I want to see this kept clean. G2 can certainly get under the skin, but for now, that's lovely. Gunkunga wants to really kick this off, but still, this is looking wrapped up with a bow. Very nice. Yes, they lose down 2, but a round secured.
Oh my god, that is filthy from Kankan as well. I don't even know how he saw the second player that he flicked to.
I'm sure we'll get that one back. I need it in a replay.
Yeah, that is disgusting. I know that it's just an anti-eco couple of kills, but look. God, that's fast. And I think we should be paying a lot of attention to Kankang's Yoru, because it's not something he's played a lot of, and it seems like they're pretty heavily indexing into it. And he's going up against Jogamo, who looks like a second skin. Yoru, he's so comfortable in everything he does on that.
Natural talent. But Kankang, again, it's great seeing this guy put with a question mark towards him. We know what he can do in those traditional roles. Now, forced to adapt and overcome, and so far, passing the test, at least in the early stages. Here, Leaf can be forced away. early pressure through towards doors.
They're so aware of where Leaf wants to play, and now they've completely isolated Jonah P.
Yeah, and Bren was kind of discussing that on the desk as well. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Leaf here. How much room can he bring to the plate? But again, this is a pretty deadly round, even in the hands of EDG with those two rifles there. Simon and Kung Kung going to be the ones to watch. Close choke point being controlled. Jonah P, good for it. Leaf as well secures that push through, but the split's still on the way.
It is, but they managed to reinforce for the moment. Leaf, he misses one shot, looks to finish off with the classic.
Yeah, this is lovely. Again, Kung Kung's still alive. There's always a threat, but I want to see G2 look robust in this, look very refined in their approach, but Kung Kung's having none of what they're trying to sell. Already going to take away Leaf, and there is a Vandal with Smoggy. They're not out of the woods just yet. Giacomo does succeed in his fight, leaving it down to one man. This would be outrageous. Oh, that's a start, but 30 HP is so little to play with. Valen and Trent surely have got enough for this one. Half achieved, and Valen there makes it hard work, though. G2 with their first.
It would have been simply revolting if EDG had managed to win this round in another 1v3. But it feels like that kind of game where we're going to have to be paying attention in case the players pull that kind of stuff out. The quality is there from any of them. The help came incredibly late for Jonah P, but it did eventually arrive. But my eyes are looking to the other side of things. Both Yorus now have their ults online, and EDG can craft some kind of fast, aggressive play. Take a look towards Nobody's utility as well to see whether Kung Kung somehow plays off the back of that. And do they dodge the recon dart at the start again, like they did on the pistol?
Too much given away so far. Kung Kung
Who's next?
taking a ticket out, but opting to then pivot straight through middle. So this will be, again, Leaf potentially under pressure, but there is a full of players on this side of the map, and actually Kung Kung wants it. He fancies it. Go, he's read him like a book. Left open and read from start to end, and now advantage looking good towards the side. There's still 3 players here from G2, and Giacomo wants this back as well. Where on earth is he going to go in this?
He repositions over towards A main. He's done this a couple of times in Americas. It's so difficult to play against.
This is outrageous from Giacomo, trying to get right behind them. Gets away with one, but he's made this at least a bit of a contest. But the numbers still so good for EDG. Plant on their side. Valen not clean enough, and EDG stamping authority on this. Jonah P can make a go of it, but a 1v3 again. A lot to ask for, and Chicho doesn't want a bit of it.
Couple of spots there where the G2 players are losing duels. I mean, you pointed out, especially on Valen, he needed to be much cleaner to pick up that kill. But Giacomo's repositioned into A main. The whole point of the, I mean, for starters, this is ridiculous. To pick up Leaf, he must have thought that Kung Kung was just about to spring out right in front of his face. He just misread the situation. But yeah, that reposition that Giacomo goes for as well with his ultimate, the whole point of that is that you're supposed to be able to stay alive and be a constant threat that causes those post-plant players to have to look in both directions, and the retake comes as a crunch. When Jorg goes 1-for-1 there, it's actually not good enough. He needs to be playing his life a little more in that kind of spot.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing right now is that the EDG players are just looking a little sharp at the start, and that is a dangerous thing.
It does fill you with a little bit of fear, isn't it? And it's filled G2 with enough that they want a very early timeout. 3-1, they've seen enough, don't like what they're seeing. And I think a very fair assessment, EDG have come in with an incredible game plan thus far, at the very least. Now, whether or not that continues, I can't tell you the future, but this does look exceptionally strong, which does make me worry about the rest of the map pool as well when we talk bigger picture. But right now, it's time for a solution, and G2 have been good at coming up with solutions, though. This isn't a one-trick pony. They do have depth, and they played with this composition plenty of times. I want to see that lent towards here.
I think it's one of those things as well where Kung Kung being able to get up his ultimate for round 4 just provided the perfect opportunity for them to run a crafted set strategy out the playbook. And he did get a little fortunate with Leaf going for that reposition too. That was a gifted kill to open the round up. You can call it a misplay from Leaf, I suppose, but he managed to provide them with a pick at the very beginning of the round, and now he's going for the push-up with Jorg, looking to see if he can make the difference, but only 4 bullets in the Headhunter.
That's a lot to put on the man's shoulders. Right place for it, and I do want to see this diligence from EDG and their anti-ecos. Do want to see them kept as clean as possible. Going to get past the first hurdle, plays in Jorg mode here. Nice flash, doesn't get what he wanted. A quick kind of evacuation at least for Kung Kung. Going to keep his life. Yeah, a little chipped up, but still they've read this early play. They've already forced them back towards site.
It was a nice idea from G2, but you got to hit the shot.
Yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. There is a player still on the back of the site. Chocomo still really trying to find those small opportunities to play with, but I think his life is over. It is. EDG, crystal clear on approach, looking very well-rounded. No threats to really be found. Flanks here, but it's already considered. Lovely stuff. EDG looking locked in here on the flawless round.
Chichu getting that kill with the wallbang also gets his Visal online, and that's how these snowballs happen. Round 4 off the back of a great bonus, even though they didn't get the win, they were able to get up the Yoru ult, and that caught them the next round, a huge eco swing round. And this time, it's a pretty similar situation, whereas in the previous hugely important round, we saw both Yorus with ultimates, and it was Jorg versus Kangkang. Now it's both of the Vice players with their ults online, and we're going to get to see that dynamic play out. The important thing about having Visal on the attack side, though, is that you need some level of map control to be able to use it effectively. You can see a lot of pings through the middle of the map here. EDG clearly planning on doing something with the Prowlers to take space, push Leaf back. It's that same bait and switch setup. And it's seen both of them.
Yeah, this feels quite red, and if anything, it spurs on and encourages EDG to take the space that has been given to an early denial of control there, removing Leaf's utility, and forcing them a little bit more into the unknown. Question marks now will be placed across the map.
They're creeping up towards where Trent is holding.
Timing on the out drone at least. Big info off of that. You can now see maybe a little bit more dedication on the rotation. Ult on top of ult here, so this is about to get rather messy, isn't it? Does EDG continue forward? Do they pause? It looks like Kangkang wants to go for it, which feels a little too bold for me, but a plant is being facilitated. But Jonah P still wants more. Still on the site. Still controlling the space, and G2 looking to try and pressure this as quick as possible.
They've also got full art control, nicely planted for art as well. Leaf needs to be a disruption in the flank, and it's shut down.
Oh, Chichu so on the money. Takes away Leaf, that removes one of the really viable approaches of holding this. Jonah P trying to stick through, at least get towards half, will take the damage, and Chichu taking names! EDG looking near on unstoppable.
They're playing so boldly too. You called it out. They were going forwards even though Kangkang didn't have a primary weapon to use. They just knew that if they get into a post-plant situation, they're going to be good for it. Full art control. Leaf, I feel sorry for him to some degree because he only had a stinger in that spot as well. It's not like you're going to be going on that big flank with the tour de force. But that is a wonderful round from Chichu. And EDG just keep the snowball going. They've got the read right now.
That momentum is looking lethal. I think a lot of us kind of, I don't want to say put it in the hands of G2, a lot of us very impressed with how they looked. I think a fair assessment. EDG, of course, these quick changes, obviously adapting to the new meta, showing that they have some validity, but hold on, okay, Jorg's gonna get G2. Bring a little bit of blood here, but still Kangkang once again leading in the Astra ult just to ensure this plant goes in, but does it, if anything, encourage G2 for a swing here? Yeah, it looks like it does. Having a little bit of a glance, nobody looking lost in God knows where, but Kangkang back sight. Flash ready, he's going back for more. Jorgamo deals with him, making something out of this. Finally, a little bit of a fight back from G2. Simon playing those really dangerous odds, trying to play towards the back of the side, leaving just two alive. Nobody still towards Jorgamo. Denied on the defuse. That's not going to get towards half yet. Leaf going to be put under pressure. They've got to still do something about this, or do they just call their losses on this one? The defuse is there.
Leaf sticks it all the way through, tanks the damage, similar to Jonah P in the previous round. That is actually a really tough spot to play for EDG. So G2 recognize that this play is going to be, they're in a 5v4, and they're getting the Mastercard Thrifty at the end of this. Obviously, they've got lighter weaponry, but you've got two Cosmic Divides up. So what that means is EDG have to play on-site post plants, but that means that you're within range of the Stingers, the Sheriffs, those kind of things. So you want to take long-range battles, but you can't because of Valen's ultimate. And in the end there, they just got stuck between a rock and a hard place.
We got ults coming in. Kangkang's got his. We've got nobody with theirs. We're going to have the operator out for Leaf. Already right off the rip, you've heard it going in. And it's pacey. They're not pulling any punches with this.
Kangkang uses ult to be able to get into secret here. And then there's a little pause, waiting to see if there's a response from G2. They're running fast rounds when they think Leaf has an op.
Yeah, but they've got to identify where these players are. They are so stacked towards pit. Trent is looking to maybe play off what Jorg's going to get here, but they're going to have to do this together. Good synergy, it's there! Trent with a good pick towards Simon. Now the rest of G2 need to stay up to this sort of pace here. Finally, Jonah P going to get a clear kill, no trade. Kangkang and Chi-Chu asked a lot of. Chi-Chu has been golden so far, and a big opportunity. Oh, he's still fighting! A huge 1v2. He knows about Leaf. Does he know about Trent still? 7 bullets, 17 HP, and a bit of a dream. But Trent can make this one all but over. All but tears in the rain. Trent trying to call him forward. Chi-Chu, he answers the call!
That's another disgusting round from the EDG players. We've already seen a 1v3 from Smoggy earlier on. By the way, still the only kills that Smoggy has. And Chi-Chu pulls this one out of nowhere. His ability to isolate these fights is just sublime.
He's doing that against G2. He's making them look silly. We talk about fundamentals with G2. They're a team that's good on all of those basics. And he just divides and conquers. I don't know how the hell he's doing it.
Isn't that how EDG have found so much success over their time rising meteorically to the top? They take structured teams and they tear them to pieces. The second best team in China, Trace, is structured, is pretty similar to G2 in terms of the style. And yet when you watch them play against each other, Trace do great against everyone else in China. Then they play against EDG and they can't hold a candle. They get torn apart. These nice defensive setups and the crossfires, the thinking, the analyst in the armchair, it doesn't matter. EDG have just got the X factor in some of these spots. And if you want X Factor, look no further than Chi-Chu, who's taken all of the momentum from his game against Team Liquid. He's space jammed Nat's talent, took it straight into himself as well, and he's become twice the player he was. He's 12-3.
Christ. I kind of expected from Kangkang. I'm so used to seeing him, you know, leading the way, being that explosive player. I'm happy seeing Chi-Chu play like this. That is so sick.
And that's similar to how he was playing at Champs. I think if Kangkang had not dropped like a kill record in the BO5 to win Champions, I think Chi-Chu probably would have been the tournament MVP.
Bang on.
Would have had a bracelet on his arm. Got to be a bit annoyed at Kangkang for taking that away from him, honestly.
How dare you?
Yeah, every time he sees Kangkang wearing it, he's like, that's my jewelry you've got around your wrist, actually.
Human. This, I don't want to say it's a formality, we've seen rounds, but I've got to give credit here. EDG looking quite clean in these moments. There was obviously that conversion in the defuse that did come in, but a very tricky predicament, but as it stands,
that's a
bloody
beauty.
hell.
And remember, they won the Thrifty earlier by getting a very similar kind of pick. They got the kill on Chi-Chu.
Okay. Paying attention. Show me a little something, G2. Give us a couple of signs of life here. This is your map pick.
They've got the stack completely in the right position. It's a super deep Vice Wall over towards A main from Jonah P. And Jonah's then jiggle peeking art. Allows 4 players to stack in the right spot. Nobody has led them into a death trap here.
He has. Go down with the ship though. G2 waiting. Reveal. Trent gonna find Chi-Chu. This is looking like a slaughter. And it is! Trent and Valen line them up so easily. Mastercard Thrifty coming right on in.
And that's the second one for G2.
Yeah.
And this one, to some degree, less impressive than the previous, less chaotic. It was essentially just G2 having a right read, or at least a decent gamble, and EDG unfortunately falling prey to it. That's a crazy shot from Leaf to open. Maybe we'll see that same Vice Wall being played more from Jonah P, though, because that was the information that allowed them to get that stack off. And EDG are going to have to be privy to that. It does look like he's going to go for it again.
Okay, like it. But dealing with these gun rounds has been a whole different ordeal. But I'm looking at them shouldering this for a little bit. No, Trent's had to have been sent away now. Jonah P.
The thing with this Vice Wall as well is that you don't really realize it's there. Because normally, you look at Kangkang's position, this is how you take A main. And you think you have A main control, but actually G2 know that you're not seriously pressing forward and looking to fight the angles. At least not yet.
Allow a little bit more support towards Trent if they do try and then springboard through Art, which has been a heavily contested part of the map here. Keep Leaf feeling a little bit more secure in this, allowing that exploration over towards B-Long as well for Jorgamo. So still got to deal with what's coming their way. It's all good and well planned, but it's going to be disconnected now. You're going to have at least a little bit of an isolated player towards main, but the wall's going to drop pretty soon. But the spike is being held off.
Overall here as well, just to aim to deny the plan. Allow them to get in position with a retake. Decent damage done, and Jorg, he's actually threatening the flank here. He didn't commit to it.
Oh, back of the site though. Gonna be bloodied by at least one, but the plant's in. But this feels really unstable. EDG can't play that comfortable post plant towards R. You're gonna have Trent controlling over towards Pit, and this late presence by Leaf almost offsetting the timing. We know that Chi-Chu's been winning this fight out more often than not, but this time Leaf's on the case. Simon, too many targets. This time G2 are able to play this back.
This time Jorgamo is able to threaten that flank action, pull eyes and attention without committing to it, without having to put his body on the line. And like you pointed out, Leaf just finds the perfect timing through Art. That's something he's gone for in prior rounds and been stopped. So this time all of the pieces worked. I love this as well. Good awareness from Trent, because that smoke allows you for some tricky timings through from front to back side.
Let's go.
Well played, well controlled.
Okay, they've forced a timeout from EDG. There's been enough rounds now. If you kind of look at the last 4, 3 have gone towards G2. So, you know, time to slow it down. And this does bring up the question. Obviously, 6 rounds is already pretty respectable. You're happy enough with it. Obviously, you want to get as many as possible. But we do, I at least do question the depth now with EDG with this comp. How much do they have to kind of lean towards? Are they happy enough to try and kind of find adaptations here? Because we were kind of, well, at least alluding to the fact that G2 do have reps in this regard. They have a lot more comfort over time with these sort of compositions. So for EDG, I want to see what they come back in with.
We really don't know what the depth of EDG's setups look like with these. We don't know how long they've been practicing with them either. We know that they adapted after the grand finals and put some time in. They had 2 weeks extra compared to the others, but probably took some time off for Chinese New Year. We really don't know if they're pulling strats out of a super deep book or whether they specifically just pulled out 2, 3, 4 for this match against G2. That's something that's going to get tested as they go forward into playoffs, but also as the sides flip. I think it's more possible that G2 will be coming out with anti against what they saw from EDG's defense against Team Liquid, when the attacking team can have more of the impetus over the tempo of the game. Because really G2's comp kind of allows you to come towards them. They set Jorg and Leaf up on weird angles, off angles, these kind of positions, and they kind of give you the offering of, come at us, let's see if you can dismantle what we're going for. Another thing to point out, though, as well, Pansy, is that the ult cycle has stopped now for EDG. So whereas they had that momentum with big ults almost every round, they're not going to for these last 2 rounds of the half.
And it looks so heavily focused again towards this middle approach. I think this is a pressure point they want to continue, at least implying that they want to follow in with. Once again, it's Leaf and Trent who'll be dealing with the vast majority of the early contact. Actually, Valen wanted to join in on this and does very well. The additional body kind of removing some of that pressure on this. They lose a lot of the punch now.
They might be tempted to go back through double doors. They haven't been contesting this too much, and they've been using a Prowler when they do, but Leaf's been paying attention to it. They have been favoring these A splits. It's what they found their value with.
Again, they've got the foot in the door now. They've got Art at the cost of vast majority of their util, but they've got now at least a step towards the site. But you can see a little bit of exploration, maybe trying to find where Leaf may reside. Nobody.
Look at Leaf on the timing.
Like that.
Is anybody aware?
They've been having his number. This time he's got the drop on Simon, but it's going to cause at least Smoggy to now be in a bad position for him. It's rough. You've got Leaf behind, you've got 3, 4 players in front, but nobody is behind them. They have no... Oh, God! What an absolute nightmare! It's gone from, what could have been a dream to a waking nightmare in the end, and G2 are right back in this game.
Last round before the switch.
Oh, we'll just not talk about that one.
Give us the replay. Give us the replay. You know you want to.
I mean, that is so tragic because it's not just a whiff. It's a whiff that could have potentially turned that round on its head. I thought he was even going to play with a little more patience. He already had that kill, dead to rights, basically. Could have tried to get another and then swing back onto Trent. Yeah, that's the kind of play that just makes G2 even more confident than they were.
Okay, it's step by step, it's round by round, but G2 have suddenly turned what felt like an EDG masterclass into a very close affair. Pressure towards Long. This time going to force away Jorg.
Yeah, they're actually a little lucky that they forced him away there because I believe nobody didn't have the money to buy drone or didn't. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he got broken at the start of the round or something.
Yeah, but you don't expect that from Leaf. He's this time lent way deeper down after that contact towards Long. He's taking the space. They're reading the game well. Giacomo gets picked out of the crowd, taken away. Sight looking like it's on the platter, but they don't like what they're seeing.
Obscuring vision.
Oh, G2 have been very fast with reinforcing the B site, and especially when you see this drone, you know that Trent's rotated probably all the way from A, right? That's where he's normally been playing, around mid, A, and Jonah P's position is just containing them. They know exactly where EDG are going to end.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but a missed shot for Leaf does give them at least a chance forward, right? Maybe a second go, but he fancies a second bite of the cherry. Big shot, nobody goes down, good trade. Valorant falls, and step by step, the site's getting more and more EDG controlled.
Here comes Jonah.
Waiting for that eventual crunch, but they're looking towards it. Jonah P bides his time. We saw what happened with the Patience before. Does it strike again? But these two players can't fall here. Leaf can't go down. Trent can't go down. And EDG want to remove them, but the eventual close comes in. Jonah P, hold on, it's all on Jonah P. How is this turned around? Kung and Smoggy lean forward, take the fight to them, and put Jonah P in a 1v2. Looking for the first Smoggy, tucks in, he's gone down for the 1v1. Oh, what is that? Jonah P snaps up to Kung. And G2 suddenly with a new lease of life.
If you saw that from Kung's POV, we'd be looking at another whiff similar to Nobody's in the prior round. He was on his screen for 2 seconds, something like that. I mean, maybe we'll see it in the replay. I imagine they'll pull it instead from the Clutcher's POV, but that is a rough way to go out. Still, a 6-6 half is nothing to sniff at.
Looking at that, bloody hell. Oh, that could just bring that little bit of life to him. But still, before we go anywhere, we do need to check in for the Omen player moment with Jorgamo. Stick around, it's 6-6.
Hey everybody, it's me, your boy, Jogmo from G2. Yeah, we just came off this win against Trace Esports. It was a little shaky up first because, I mean, it's been like a year for me to be on the international stage, but for the teammates, I saw all the confidence because they were here just a few months ago at Champs. Against Trace today, my personal power level for the day was like 70%. Like, it was there. I was utility, supporting, entering fine. I had a couple good rounds for myself, but the rest of my team, I think they're at 80, probably 90. I think everybody was at the higher level than me against Trace, which, I mean, that's why I balance out the team, I think.
It's alive. Wait, they managed to hold it in the door. Jorgamo, though, from the back line, going to take away 2. This is his site already. Maybe a third. Yeah, it's a third. He's going to make up for the last round by basically getting you another. Jorgamo is ripping them to shreds.
I always start slow, but I make sure the team's always good. You know, I make sure I support, do my personal job in the team, and then eventually when I know all the plays, all the ideas, everybody's mental around me, that's when I surpass them all and I can show them why I was a champ at one point as well. I told my teammates, my IGL, I'm gonna be MVP one day. I'm climbing to the top again, that's my goal.
G2 starting to wake up after what was a very dominant beginning for EDG, but on this side swap here, where is your mind going now we're going to be seeing them on the other side of things?
Well, G2 really settled into that once EDG ran out of ideas, specific anti, and that ult cycle. But now we're starting at a new half, and there's a potential for them to run something interesting on a pistol round. Find a bonus that works for you. It's pretty tough actually to get super aggro on the defense side of Pearl. It's a big map. You're also playing against a double sentinel composition that's going to have trip on one side, wall on the other. But if EDG can come out with some good ideas, that's what got them off to such a great start. By round 8, they already had all 6 of their victories.
Jumping, yeah.
They're going to flash here for Kung to play off. The Vice flash.
Deploying drone.
Okay. Now drone in. Spots the flash. And it's okay. We were all excited about a flash, but apparently it's a mass go over towards A. I have no idea what's gone on there, but by the end of it, we are still down in a 3v3. Spike still with Leaf, so they can at least move away from this, but Kung's timing could be incredible here.
Especially because they're going to get stalled out by this Vice wall. If it gets baited, or do they double swing over it? That's the only way of... Yeah, and now Kung's locked on the other side. Rough for Kung.
A little unfortunate, almost. Chichu, though, has been the headliner thus far, and it feels like he is going to get his moment. Kung is there, the wall just about dropping in time. Chichu a little bit forward on the flash, but does eat his teammates, but still going to know that they're going to be towards the back of the side. He's trying to buy his time. Playing Kung is laboured, is Chichu to try and deal the blow, but look at the HP! It was messy, but EDG come out on top.
So another pistol round. Not necessarily off an incredible ante, but I mean, let's take a look at what happened over here in A main. Leaf had to try to clean it up. It's a bit weird from G2, actually. They were fighting over both extremities of the map at once. I wonder whether EDG had a bit of a read on that, because I mean, so were they. Either way, EDG come out with a good start to the half, and that's the same kind of thing that got the snowball rolling. You know, they're going to be able to build up economy. They're going to start to build up towards ults. I mean, specifically, Smoggy is the closest, and his is probably one of the best for retakes.
I'm not really going to harp on about the fact that EDG need like momentum and bits like that, but it feels good to come back into these sort of... What the hell? Oh, what the hell is that? Kankang's got a ghost.
Spike down.
He's just
B.
chilling out there taking fights. Okay. Well, and Leaf have fun, I guess, for the rest of the round. But yeah, it's got to feel good for EDG after what was a very much a G2 flavoured end to the first half to come back in and reset that. Valen, nice try. And Leaf, the last one, dealt with EDG. Quick to it, full standing.
So much to do.
So on the pistol, G2, they were using their drone to apply a bit of pressure over towards B, and then they walked into A main. We'll see if EDG have a similar read themselves on what they want to do here. The bonus round is an excellent opportunity to start tipping that momentum back in your favor. We're already leading 8-6.
Yeah.
And this would be a huge scalp to take on map 1. Because Pearl, I think most people are thinking G2 are best in the world on that map.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment. Incredible.
Four-player fight over A main. This is where they found the value before on the pistol. But this time, it's only Valen home. The rest of G2 just follow the drone over towards B.
Cautious steps, but it's G2 to fall. Leaf with the first. And that does cause problems. That's a massive amount of space now that is available to G2 that EDG will have to try and re-clear meticulously.
Yeah, I think I prefer Chishu playing his life a bit more in that situation. You know that your A main players haven't found anything. They've got to be towards mid or B, and you need to stay alive.
Whoa, Kankang, why do I get nervous? There was a second when I felt like he could have had just God-given timing, but it does go the other way, and they look like they're going back towards B now.
That's a completely free site. EDG are just hoping that they fall back into their laps on the A. G2 was so slow. I mean, this reminds you back of more what they were doing in 2024, I think. Yeah.
Concealment! Conceal, pulling them
caution
in.
being displayed here. There is, of course, that scoreline disparity. Not much, but you don't want to be making errors up against someone like EDG. You give them a chance, they will make something of it. And Leaf's the one to be going hunting here. Hearing these steps. Good chance to farm up, 3 away from ult currently. Ah, this is lovely timing for him. Crowd loves a bit of it. Yeah, oh, okay, all good, Leaf. All good for Leaf, lovely for him. Ult locked in, ready to go.
I'm wondering whether that's the best ult to get online. I mean, G2 are normally so min-maxing with how they play. Is your attack side chamber ult really the one that you want to be charging up in that spot? I don't know. But at least they completely denied Smoggy getting his ult online.
Plug it in.
Kankang's pulling out the defense side operator here to start. And again, it's the same defensive setup.
Yeah, it's 4-1. And now we've got a brawl on it. Okay, well. Massacre, potentially. Kankang, yeah, didn't fancy it. Took the trip out of there, but Simon's now tucked in, and he's still fighting the good fight. I don't know how he even got one on that. Does get traded out, so G2 going to be continuing their pathway forward or pausing potentially. I'm looking at where Leaf gets to. Going to cause a couple of issues, keep those eyes turned across the rest of the map.
One suppressed.
Chishu doesn't have to really be that alarmed. The drone found Leaf, wasn't in front of the wall. But it has drawn a lot of eyes. I mean, all 3 players from EDG that are around mid were looking for Leaf. He's going to play his life and make sure he doesn't give it away too freely. G2 making the mass rotation. I think they've read that this is the same defensive setup as the previous round on the bonus. And EDG are not responding. They're expecting a re-hit. And this time, though, Chishu, instead of giving up his life, he wins the duel against Leaf. That's going to add a very different dynamic to the round.
Map is certainly not available. How does G2 approach this? Does he want to try and get ahead? I think he knows that those vines were coming in, try to play a little in front, but Trent's going to punish now the plant's there. Trent, yes, down low, but much closer towards ult as well for him. But having to hold this in a 3v3 post-plant, going to be a little bit difficult. Playing it back in with Kankang with that operator, not easy either.
No, they're not going to find very many opportunities. But this is a spot where G2 have got to be disciplined. Kankang, he's going to start walking forwards, posting up on angles.
This is go time, surely.
Great smoke.
Keeps momentum secure for a second here. Jonah P able to kind of play around this, and he does have Valen by his side, but already, EDG, they're on the site here, all eyes towards Trent, but they've got to keep in mind there's players on the back of the site, and when Kangkang's alive, there's always a chance. And Trent going to go for the ult here, 5 HP, but time is the imperative factor, and he's played it to the second. Great work from Trent, and around to even the score line up.
Technically, the Red Bull clutch there for Trent. Shouldn't have gotten maybe as sticky as it did, but that's the power of EDG. Having said that, though, the fact that they went and committed to it takes the operator out of Kangkang's hands. There's only one rifle that's been saved from that. And if all 3 of those players that went for the retake had instead decided to save, yeah, they wouldn't have had the chance of victory. But they would also now have a much better chance heading into round 17.
This is where the pendulum swings. 8-8. Yeah, and EDG's money is absolutely just bin juice. It's Sheriffs and that Vandal there for nobody, but that's about it. And obviously Leaf, voice line kind of gives it away.
This push out into mid, I think, is rarely going to get something good. Oh, that is ridiculous from nobody. Okay, fair enough. Color me surprised, but also I'm very wrong about that.
Oh my god, Chichu trying to pull out the heroics there. Gets a whole lot of information, but it is at the trade of his life. But rotation's on the way. EDG want to brawl on this one. It's still nobody is your danger man. The rest are down to Sheriffs, and Trent's clearing out. Kangkang's gone down, and EDG now dwindle in numbers. Plants in play, and time on their side. Don't know how EDG break these crossfires. Jorgamo doesn't want to let it happen yet. G2 put a bow on this round. Comfortable for them off that initial skirmish. Yeah, Leaf went down, but still a round's a round.
Now EDG, though, rifles are going to come back up. They're not going to go for the investment of the operator. They don't have the cash to be able to do so. But G2 are just very slow, very meticulous with the way that they're moving forwards around the map. Even in scenarios where we've seen them have full access to the B site, they've still been super cautious, waiting for EDG to be the one to take the initiative. It's frustrating to play against. It makes it very difficult to figure out the good defensive rotation timings, util timings when you're playing against a team that's as cautious and contacty as G2 tend to be in the mid-round. I think EDG want to opt into the brawls. The way that you're seeing them start a lot of these defense situations is 4 players over towards A main. We've seen that twice now, round 15, 16. Then in round 17, they put 4 people in mid. I know it's an eco, and that's a normal strat to go for, but it implies to me that they want to get these rounds over and done with in the first 20 seconds to stop Valen having the impact of his mid-round calling on the attack side.
All good and well, but as you said, the brilliant ability of kind of keeping control of that tempo and timing that G2 is willing to play with, it's still allowing them so much control going later into these rounds. Not feeling any rush on these brawls, able to somehow avoid it thus far, barring a couple of skirmishes, but a timeout called out for EDG, a couple of ults to come in, and a really impactful round about to approach. This could be double digits for G2, and yeah, I'm hoping we don't see EDG run out of steam here.
I want to see EDG trust more in their retake setups. It's very difficult, though, against what G2 run, because in post-plant, you're going to be trying to go through the thorns that are coming out from Jonah P.
Cutting through.
But I'd like to see EDG set up for some kind of setup like that. Instead of trying to win the fight in the first 20 seconds, see if you can win it in the post-plant.
Well, it's not quite the 4-play stack, it's 3 towards B. G2, let's see if they go down that protocol list, right? Slow and steady. Showing some presence towards A, getting those ult orbs, and then just kind of slipping back into this default.
A's looking pretty weak for EDG currently. Reinforcing it with nobody for a moment. Kangkang goes for his second gate crash.
Again, it's patience being tested here. EDG probably love to have a little bit more influence towards the outcome of the tempo of these rounds, but right now it is G2's, and they're very aware of what Kangkang wanted to do. Heads on a swivel, and they even have mid-control to boot as well. Simon can be denied approach. Quick hop, skip, and a jump, and they're away. Nice try, a little late. Okay, so trying to play back closer. I guess it's Leaf who's under pressure. We're going to have a couple of fights on a couple of fronts, but a couple of players trying to hold them back, but it's Simon to break through. Nobody denies Leaf, and suddenly the flood is onto... Oh, what? No way! Valen! No! Goddamn way, he knows where Simon is. He absolutely knows. He can get the reload, but it's 30 HP with 20 seconds. I can't believe I'm witnessing this. This could be unthinkable if Valen pulls this one off. Simon now, surely you're nervous. You're getting a little worried by the time. Surely the time, it's going to be enough. Simon keeps his cool and keeps EDG at level scorelines.
What a hero Simon is there. Shutting down Valin at the end of the round, but also it was his flank coming out through Art, which was his responsibility to cover, all the way back into B-Link. And it wasn't something that G2 were necessarily thinking about, that backstab play. EDG completely pinched them. Other than that, it was not looking like a great round for EDG there. They salvaged it. Talking about salvage, talking about scrap. And that is going to be their economy here. I mean, it looks like it's straight out of the junkyard.
They're trying to make it work, all right? We got a Judge, we got SMG Guardians, bits and bobs. Why do I feel like EDG still might make it work really well, though? I don't know, this team just always seems to pull it together.
Well, like I said previously, whenever the defensive team has a Cosmic Divide, you can actually force those closer fights.
Simon. Play on the angle here. A bit of a clear towards middle. Leaf not denied deeper information, but shows his hand. Top flash waiting, and Kung has a look, doesn't fancy it, but G2, they're on the way that time. Jorgamo gets denied, and they hold the site.
Leaf's just been watching mid the entire time, wondering if somebody's going to go for that push. Smoggy with a Judge is sat on the other side of things. If Leaf creeps in here, surely there is no way that the G2 player is going to come out on top.
Surely, right? Yeah, okay, Smoggy. The doors are his. No one's getting past.
30 seconds left.
Now kind of forced in towards this B site. Still util here, so only 25 seconds. This is going to get really, really tricky. Time being bought. They got to go for this one. Trent just gets slung back around. I don't know how the hell that's happened, but Trent, Valin, and Jonah P going to try and make something out of nothing. 13 seconds. They're running too low on time. They have so little to play with. They can put a body to this. They can make sacrifices happen. They have the numbers, and overwhelmed, EDG take back the lead.
2 enormous rounds in a row there for EDG to be able to put themselves in a decent position. Their weaponry coming into this round looked so abominable, and that shot is incredibly crucial. You get killed with a Guardian, one tap at the beginning of the round. Smoggy finding his value over towards double doors, begging someone to walk through towards him, and eventually plays out.
They got ults as well. Lards to bank on, only one away from Simons too. This is starting to look like it's flipping around, but G2 still an opportunity to fight back, but their money's not in a great place either. I'm looking at Trent here. Sheriff in hand so far, and that's about all she wrote.
G2 have been putting quite a lot of pressure over towards B. Even when they take A main control, they are ending B a ton. And honestly, it hasn't been working that well.
Uh-oh. Nice little checkmate towards Long, gonna keep that control and keep the information very much in EDG's hands.
My ult is ready. The retake ultimates are fantastic here for EDG. Got the Cosmic Divide. Kung is going to be able to take info, space, and everything with the Dimensional Drift, so you don't have to hard anchor over towards A. You can run some kind of mid-crunch.
Jonapy's gone down there. Yeah, quick hit and run for Kung, gonna find him. And can just fall off this one. It feels like G2 are a little bit lost on the way in now. Still gonna have Leaf towards middle, who's trying to find them a bit of room, trying to pull these players over. Pull a bit of a fake, try and have some of that misinformation free-flowing, but I'm still worried about someone like Simon's positioning coming in. Someone like Smoggy's position. These are all still very strong, big information here. It's all about timing for Simon now.
Bring them down.
And he's got a bit of a bite on that one. He's got the ult to play on too. It's 30 seconds. They have no idea. He's got flashed out though. He's completely out of it. Valorant clears, but it's back to the wall. Valorant, they got to make a go of this, and right about now, stall out towards the site. They want to buy time. Leaf's got a barrel towards middle with Kung, but they need that plant down. Leaf wins his fight. G2 onto the site, and the plant's there. Are they going straight for this? They are. Jorgamo, he won't be denied this time, but he's stuck on the site. Valor bails him out. The 1-2 punch. G2 this time pivot late round, leaving Smoggy in a near-on unwinnable scenario.
It does feel like G2, in terms of their macro, are a little lost. Now, Smoggy, we saw the 1v3 earlier, but a 1v4's too much. It is too much. The score even. I would agree with your comment earlier that it does look like G2 are a little bit lost in the macro. You saw in this round, Leaf trying to push his luck over towards Art, but it's this kill onto Simon, and the flash in particular, that lands perfectly and causes him to cower behind the box. That's what makes the difference here and allows them into the site. If Simon had been able to slow them down, then it would have been a very different story. G2 are trying to find the gaps, EDG are making it difficult, but at some point, they're still able to brute force it. Big fight in mid and not on an eco, maybe a bit more unexpected. Now they're backed off.
Yeah, I was feeling there's commitment to that, but they're going to get a bite on the Prowler, but it's still going to be Kong waiting over towards this three-play side of the split there. Decides to take the quick evacuation out. Smoggy the next to be tested. Doesn't fall foul for it, but it's still going to get his man. It's Simon now to try and post up on this, but he's got pressure on two fronts. The split and the timing is absolutely divine for G2, but Kong is still around on this site. And if this man is here, there's always a potential. There's a flank on the way as well. Nobody clearing through. That's a lot of space that he can confirm has nobody present.
Yeah, Jonah P's dead, so that wall is not active.
He is quick, isn't he? Kong is under threat, though. They can't dig him out of this pit. They really can't. They're buying time with the odds. There's a lot of problems here for G2. 47 seconds, and the flag's coming in. Nobody makes his presence known, and the spike gets dropped again.
He should have landed the death blow here. Trent forced out into the open, and Valin left with the spike to scatter. He might be able to find the route over to B, actually. The round may not yet be dead for G2. Left. But it's gonna have to require something monstrous.
Alan, have you got that in you right now? Let's have the draw.
He nearly got the 1v5 ace earlier, didn't he?
I'm a believer.
Shut down by Simon. Simon's not alive. The logic's all there.
It all makes sense now. I don't know why I doubted.
Hello. He gave up on it.
Yeah, didn't fancy it. Got a bit nervous. Obviously, we know where they are. He got a little bit scared on the timing, but they are taking their time. Kong does have that operator, but nobody in Chi-Chu going to come back in with those Vandals. And with that walnut trip, the site feels small. Valen doesn't have many options. Does get to evade on the first. Not sure if he got spotted here, but Kong going to lead the way. Eye to the scope. Takes away Valen, and EDG post up 11.
It is so difficult to play back hauls against a Taeho in that spot. You can put the Taeho missiles in a number of different positions, and you just know exactly where a player is going to reposition to. What a play by nobody. And actually, what great credit we should be giving to the rest of the team for delaying, for causing pressure, and allowing nobody to get that timing.
And talk about a pivotal bit of timing. Look at where the money's going to be broken here for G2. This, I want to say, should be 12 by all rights. You're looking at them kind of considering Stingers, Guardians, what they want to bring into this. Couple of ults to play with. They have options, but it's far from perfect.
It's going to be so tough for them to ever go over towards B as well against Kong's operator. The two players at the top of the scoreboard holding down B. G2 going to go 4-5 through the B link.
God. It looks kind of like it. Jorg's going to be towards the back of the site, so going to clear a lot of space here, but look towards Long. Look at how this is almost flipped around. Chi-Chu's up towards it. Nobody on the flank. It's Smoggy this time to take down Jonah P. Jorg's still here. These are Stingers. They can't take these long-range fights. They want them to get close, but this is uncomfortable.
They are going and clearing out spawn, so they own a little bit of the map, but it's not really planning for there, and like you said, Stingers.
Oh, this is so uncomfortable here. Valen trying to find a little bit of a corner to play from, but they are everywhere! But Valen does well, takes away one. Trent chimes in, but EDG... Wait, Valen, I thought you got a little techie on that one. What on earth? How are G2 winning this out? Nobody! How has this happened? G2, you had no right to win that!
Trent gets 3, but I'm more amazed by Valen being able to survive in his position. How has he managed to get one? He hopped up over the top. I mean, look, he dives inside the smoke, hops up over the back, and still ends up getting another. And yet, the double push into spawn just allows Trent an unexpected position, and they play around the obstacles and the smokes marvelously, masterfully. And how have they got this to 11-11?
They've broken EDG's money right back. This is unreal. This was a tantalizing prospect of a game, no matter what. But seeing the scoreline get to this against the odds here, G2 pulling it out. EDG now have to do the same right back. Leaf says no to the beginning. Kong's gone down.
It's a great shutdown, and there's double push in mid as well. They know that Leaf is fighting over towards B long, so they're going to try to apply some pressure over there.
knife's edge stuff though, but I mean, nobody's got a classic. What are you meant to do here? Not much. Trent bulldozering towards the site. G2, no matter the odds, still powering forward, and Leaf's position is just dirty. Tough to handle, but does get cleared. Smoggy gives him a little bit of hope.
Amazing first shot, 145 on the aim punch. Here's where you see G2 go forwards though. They've taken that position over towards Secret and Spawn, just like the prior round. And again, it delivers.
Yeah, you're talking about against the odds. This is now stacking up against them. G2, blooming heck. 4 standing, 12 found. One more, it's done for at least in regulation. EDG need this. And how many, have they got any ults to bank on? No, one off from Kungkungs, but that's about it.
That eco round has just completely twisted everything, hasn't it? I mean,
Unreal.
EDG were the one at the start of the game looking like they had very good breath, good individual rounds. Smoggy with the clutch, Chishu and Kungkung pulling out kills all over the place. Now G2 have answered back and have the map point to work with.
This is the pressure one. Leaf's got operator, Vandals throughout on the rest. EDG, goodbye here. Be enough. They'll set up on towards main. How long do they try and hold that? They've already decided against it.
Jorg's teleported away to go and reinforce Leaf's position. He's been holding a fairly passive angle at the start, wondering if Kungkung's going to peek into him. But now he can start getting a little more aggro, getting a little more info.
So many question marks on the map. You've got the owl drone towards middle, you had the Vice flash towards middle, you had that early contact towards A, you've had now Util over towards B long. So much for EDG to try and figure out where this ends.
And the Prowler just got broken in A main. Valen stuck around to break that from Simon, so Simon still thinks there's presence right now in A. In fact, you see the rotates coming towards A.
It's so slippery from G2, so cerebral. This puts nobody in a do-or-die scenario, and look at the crunch, there's nowhere to hide! G2, pixel perfect on the execute, but stalled out for a second. 30 seconds now, as the plan comes in, EDG down a man, but does that make a difference?
As they back up, EDG have got all the task ahead of them. No Cosmic Divide, no way for Kungkung to get in. This has got to be brute force.
They've got it. They can do it. Kungkung the first to take those steps, even up this one. Leaf with a missed shot. And now Smoggy chimes in with one as well. EDG never caring about the odds, never caring what the numbers may look like. As now Valen asked to fight brilliance and he can't do it. EDG taking us to OT.
I feel like this game completely deserved it. Incredible from EDG to get back into that one. And this round, I think essentially decided by that early fight that Kungkung took. Even after nobody goes down, I was talking about Kungkung needs to be able to get back in, and he wins the Yoru head-to-head against Jorgamo. Jorg was posted up towards back halls, and they needed that ability to entry. It also got the Dimensional Drift back online. They've earned themselves another life. G2 could not capitalize on their one map point.
What a game. You love to see it. 2 Masters at work here, it feels like. 12 apiece. And we were questioning, or at least looking towards Kungkung's ability on that Yoru, how it's sitting right now. It's looking pretty nice. 24-18 already. Nice performance from him. Chichu right up there with him. And we go back in. We go for it again. EDG on the attack. G2 on the defense.
Not a particularly heavy hold of A main here from G2, not committing many resources to it whatsoever. Just relying on the fact that Jonah P's got his Vice set up here. I'm not even sure that EDG spotted the deep wall that Jonah was placing in regulation. But G2 have gone for mid info instead here.
Bravado to go for that. Hoping that, I don't know what you're hoping for. Someone's there or someone's not. Very clear-headed clear towards middle. And Trent wants back in. This is dangerous. He isn't alone. Oh, Valen on the bailout. Takes away Kungkung, and they can slip back a little bit deeper, but this split is coming in no matter what. Nobody. This is lovely work from G2. They are just funneled into death.
There's no way that nobody knew that Vice wall was there. I mean, he just walked through it into his death completely. G2 have bamboozled them with the defensive setup.
Watching this has been masterful. Simon, it feels like a formality at 1v5. Very, very difficult. And it is G2 almost upping the ante there in OT.
super, super clean from G2. And one of the main reasons why they were able to stack so many players towards mid and A was because Leaf just held the line on B the entire time. There was barely a frame there where VALORANT managed to see that, and his crosshair placement wasn't even that great, but gets the job done. A little bit of panic, I think, towards the end as well. They thought that they had to react into the A site.
Trent, let's go, baby.
Nobody had the wrong idea about what the defense looked like. And we see another glass cannon operator, this time on the other side, on the defense for Kong.
Big investment.
But also a big difference. Leaf was holding this area completely on his own, which allowed stacks towards mid and A. Kong's playing this, but with 2 players supporting, which means there is still a big weakness over towards mid and potentially A in the mid round.
I don't know if that Prowler caught towards A. I'm not sure if it actually identified where Leaf was residing, but a very diligent clear from Simon just to sidestep that one. Doesn't want to lose his life for this, but does now note that there is presence still towards A main.
Art is so open. This defensive setup from EDG is a weird one. Chichu's coming over to try to pick it up. You're worried about Leaf, I suppose. They spotted a little glimpse of him at the start of the round over towards A main, so considering you've got eyes on the main lurker, it's not that bad. Do you really want to be doing this against Kong?
Apparently, yes. Trent's feeling it, but they're not falling for it. As much as this is all a bit of a ruse, how much do they commit behind it? Oh, he's so hungry for it! You don't expect him to chase that closer. They're going into the stack now. Yeah, they are. They're still heading this way. This could be going again. We might be going again. EDG, they knew what was happening. Kong brave in holding it down. And we go again.
It's actually ended up being a remarkably similar defensive setup to what G2 ran. We noted that at the beginning of the round, Kong had 2 additional players with him. Now, by the time it got to only 30 seconds on the clock, Kong is alone over towards B. They've got the read. They've stacked over towards the rest of the map. And like you said, Trent on his own, jump peeking that just doesn't create enough pressure to push Kong off the line. He's super happy taking the duel. And despite winning the round, here, EDG take a timeout. They're going to have a bit of a discussion, because also they don't really understand necessarily why they lost the previous attack round. They don't know why there was such a stack and device over towards A.
It is going to be interesting if they can identify that now in these moments. It is quite hard, again, obviously if you're in the server itself, maybe the coach can identify it and maybe get a little bit of a read themselves, but not going to be easy by any means. But credit here to EDG in my mind, keeping up to this one, and G2's resilience is absolutely showing. Both sides now digging incredibly deep, and it always gets a bit weird in OT anyway, as much as we are seeing a couple of those opportunities being maybe not missed by EDG, but not even notified. They don't even know about what's been working for G2 in some of these rounds. To try and capitalize on that here when G2 could still flip this up any way they want. They have depth on this map.
I am feeling good about EDG though, because considering we've played 26 rounds, I'm not seeing the lack of depth that I thought we might see from EDG with only a couple weeks practice, kind of max on this map with this composition.
It feels like it just talks to the caliber of this team that they're able to apply such brilliance so quickly. But we go in again. Of course, EDG this time around on the attack and G2 on the defense. So let's see if EDG this time can convert here.
3 players over towards middle. A bait and switch setup at double doors, but that's not where the pressure's coming through.
This is straight through on.
Now, last time, the smoke has been popped in Art. And then we saw Trent and Valin both double fighting. Simon wants to try to take the fight. They're putting bodies here, daring G2 to stop them.
G2 fancies it. We've been discussing their composure, their cool under pressure. They don't like what they're seeing there. It does put Jonah P on a bit of an island, but he does have util to stall. But speaking of util, having to respect it coming in, but buying the time from that push through towards Art. Still obviously worried there could be a split through from main, but it's not through main.
Yeah, they're going deep through mid. They're trying to catch somebody like Trent who might be playing in this spot, but Jorg is so aware.
How's he? It feels like he knows. The timing's gonna be, oh my good God, Jorgamo! There's no one like this man, finding 2. As it, the awareness to identify the gap, to know of that possibility and play for it. But it's still a 3v4. We've seen EDG go up against these odds and still succeed, but in the smoke, waiting is Jonah P. Chichu will have to play this in! Smoggy bringing it back to a 3v3. Valen, this is a really risky play here. Does he get out? He does. Okay, I was a bit worried he might get isolated in front of that, but nobody's taking away Trent.
I was just spamming the flowers.
Oh my god, but G2 now on the flank as well. He tried to get that pressure on the back line. Valen now has problems. Left, right, and the spike against him. G2 is an issue. It's so hard to clear. EDG, man disadvantage, doesn't matter. Make it up to 14.
Gutting for Jorgamo to take those 2 kills and be so aware and then see the rest of your team kind of crumble, because this awareness was spectacular to put his team at an advantage. Jonah, though, gets caught. He's playing inside a smoke at R, expecting EDG to go on a pretty fast timing on the A split. And once the smoke goes down, his wall hasn't been tripped in A. He just doesn't have the cover to be able to play around. That death is devastating, because then the whole of the A site is open and salvos spam, they fall in flowers. EDG playing with patience and composure, despite the fact that we're deep into OT. But of course, this team, they've demonstrated that they can do it all. There's nothing in Valorant that they can't accomplish. I suppose you could say, however, Champs is the only tournament that they have won internationally. They haven't won a Masters as well.
True.
And if they were able to win this tournament,
Right.
they would join Sassy as the only players ever to have won Masters and Champs. So that's another piece of history that they're fighting for. Tell you who else is doing that? Jorg on the other side.
Very good, yeah. A little bit of kind of a mirroring moment between these two in that regard. And we saw EDG take that time out earlier. G2 now going to be going for theirs as well, getting deeper and deeper into this OT. And you're right, there is a lot of symmetry between these two teams, or at least between some of the players, especially when you're talking about Jorgamo in this. But coming back in, what the hell does G2 do now? The kind of pressure's back on them here to step up to the play and stepped up to the score line, obviously trailing at 13 to 14.
Who needs a gun?
Some of their attack round macro was difficult. They were finding it tough to get a read on what EDG were going for, but Leaf was always that player going for the exploration. This, though, could end up being a brawl in A main.
I feel like we keep saying that, but they just somehow, like, crisis avert at the very end. But this time it looks like EDG is sticking around, and as are G2. This might be headfirst for Halos here. They're going for it, and so far it's EDG out on top. Valen goes down. Oh, Jorgamo, where they need him. He seems to get 2 every single time. Kung and Chichu this time around going to be asked a big question. Ult's already in. Jorg wants to find this man. You don't want to leave him unchecked. Has he found a gap? Absolutely not. Bye-bye! Gets out of there, but he still finds his man. Leaving Chichu in a world of trouble. G2 right back in.
I'm sure EDG would want that round back again. The thing is, though, I respect taking a risk in a round like that. You can't just play scared.
No.
You can't play to avoid losing, and this is the definition of playing to win. They wanted to close things out with a massive fight, but they all got caught by the flash reclear from Jorg. Couldn't ask for bigger impact, and chasing down his counterpart as well. Euro TP, the gate crash, not getting far enough away from danger. You were asking what G2 could do, but EDG kind of handed it to them on a platter.
Oh, this game is living up to our expectations. 2 of the heavyweights here in Valorant in this current day and era. Looking so good. Inseparable almost so far. Of course, at 14-14. EDG's chance to try and dictate the pace on this attacking side.
They're playing B as the weak side of the map again here, G2, but it's not with, you know, the operator going down the line. It's not even with the Vice Wall there. It's a really soft B setup right now. I think just playing into the fact that EDG have not been leaning in that direction very much. But this time, round 29, they're swapping things up. And Chishu, Smoggy are working their way down really quite deep. And when they realize there's no Vice Wall here, they might try to fully walk it in.
So it is 2 players kind of back B. Valen sees nothing yet. He might be punished on this. He's got to be really careful on these jump spots here. They are so close. Yeah, okay, bye-bye. You got to run away. Get out of there. You're ringing the alarm bell. They are at the door. They're in the door. They're at the site. Trent gets a wild spray through the smoke, but now it's all gone to hell in a handbasket as Kang is breaking down the door, taking away Leaf. Fancy a go at Jorg. Turns the flash, gets back in time, but Jorg takes him down, just leaving Jonah P in a 1v3. And we talk about pace. We talk about aggression. EDG showing we can do it just as well. Lovely approach towards that B side. And Jonah P, this is incredibly difficult. Already stalled out. You're feeling those chances dwindling here. Feeling like 15 is fated for EDG. One left, one right, the crossfire near on Unbreakable. It is just gonna hold. EDG striking first.
And that's a great game plan. They called that one straight off the barrier drop. That wasn't necessarily a mid-round or an audible based off info. It was a game plan from the very beginning, called by nobody, or maybe by Muggle during the timeout, to just take that walk down B long. Couldn't have picked a better round to do it. In prior rounds, they would have run into the operator or maybe even the vice. And this one was perfect. Now it's on EDG to close things out. Map point on your opponent's map pick. Previously, they went for the 4-player fight in A main, and it did not work. Now
they do it again.
Can't fail twice.
Right? I think that's how odds work.
That's how stats work, yeah. It's 50-50, it wins or it doesn't.
Oh, flat chat and coin flips. I've heard things.
No, this one's a guarantee.
This is wild. They've walked so far here. There is still going to be that wall that is going to be a big signifier of something is up. I mean, the fact that you've got to double doors means something has gone wrong. It feels weird already. There's 2 players here for EDG. Can they close it out in this round? G2 knocking, and this time it's G2 answering back to back, looking for more. Oh, he can't get it. Jonah P going to quell that aggression. But you're looking at nobody on the back lines. Dealt with. Trent wants to carry this on. Spots another. Just got to play his life here. Play smart here. Doesn't need to do too much. He finds a little bit of safety to fall back to.
Simon's going to deliberately get hit by this. This is going to slow things down quite a lot. And I think Smoggy's got to take the initiative. I think he has to be the person who takes first contact. G2 are all moving their way forward.
Oh, and Simon's just not going to have that chance. That was almost 3 players at the same time swinging. Looking like this ain't over yet.
It's a great decision by G2, playing dynamic in the post plant, not just holding positions and crossfires, though now they can settle into that kind of thing to shut Smoggy down.
That's nice.
Shut him out. Every time it feels like this game is going to end, it doesn't. It can't. We're trapped here forever.
I mean, there's worse things.
What is it with EDG and playing these kind of maps to open series? They did this against Team Liquid as well. A 16-18. Is this somehow going to overtake that?
Look, I've got nothing else to do tonight. I'm happy with this one. If it was going to be a good game, I'm happy to keep going back and forth. But you will see the exhaustion hitting in, that frustration over and over and over. So close to closing out and then brought right back up to 15-15. Having these heroic calls, these brave approaches. You know, who blinks first almost? EDG, another opportunity on this attacking side now.
Leaf is solo holding B, but without the operator. Wow. Somehow Jogomo was able to dip inside the smoke and timing that. He's giving away his position with the flash. These jump spots were the death of Valen in the prior round.
Leaf is... It does scare me a little, but he's fine. We're still seeing EDG kind of doing this 2-on-2, pressuring on both of the extremities at the same time, but you're looking at also where nobody's getting off to. Yeah. He's already straight up through art, taking a lot of space here, completely unnoted.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I mean, he's got past the flash. The flash has not been used for information from Jonah P. In the big matches, nobody sometimes finds his moment and decides to just turn on the carry. He did it in the Chinese Grand Finals for kickoff. He might have his opportunity here again. He's asking his team to create pressure so that this area kind of gets cleared. Oh, but Trent might have a beautiful timing of his own.
This is a huge audio cue. Trent's going to hear it. He's going to find it. He's going to find G2 as well. Now all of this split, all of this intention through art, this approach towards A could be red, but nobody fancies it. He's still trying to go towards this. Jogomo, pop flash, has a look, finds nothing. Plant trying to be played towards. They've got it in. 4v3 though. Kung, Simon and Smoggy gonna have to stand together. Sends back Jogomo. Another chance here, down to 3v3 now. Simon's unrelenting. He fancies some more. He's gonna get more. Leaf's gonna deal with him, but it's traded out again. 2v2. Time now starting to become a factor here. G2 need to try and disrupt these final 2 players. And Leaf the one to put his body on the line, put his life on the line. Leaf?
No way.
Leaf?
No.
Leaf?
Oh.
Unthinkable scenes.
There's only one position where you could be sticking that from, because otherwise it's one way. There's a tiny gap on the left side of the smoke. They've just let him get away with murder. And in what could be the most consequential round of the first map. This smoke, they've been running it constantly. Simon has been dipping inside of it.
Let's go, baby! Oh, I'll tap that.
The Red Bull clutch pulled out at the 11th hour.
Standing ahead.
Gives you goosebumps, that sort of thing. Is that the thing that changes the trajectory of this entire matchup? Kind of going blow for blow the whole time, but now the pressure is back on EDG, trailing this time. G2 round to the good, but a lot of pressure here through our Jorgamo is certainly not alone. He's gonna have a fight on this, and it's Smoggy, it's G2. Side by side, taking away the G2 players. Man advantage to EDG. Looking for a way back in. They try and fight towards the site, but they lose out as Joe P left in a 1v3. And this match feels like it'll never end.
I mean, at minimum at this point, it's going to tie EDG's 18-16, barring something ridiculous from Jonah P. He's got a similar situation to Valin previously, where the over-rotation from EDG pulls people to A, and he's got a plan. It's again a similar spot where you can't really play back halls in this position because nobody's just going to clear you out with a salvo. And at the moment, Jonah can't do anything.
Uh-oh.
Well, it could be a bait.
It could be.
I think EDG realise it's not.
Oh, good. Oh, it's not good. It's rough here. He's still slipping around this. Hold on. Nah, come on, EDG. We're going every single round possible. How long do you reckon this is going to go on? You know what I mean? There's only so many times I can keep getting, into the 16-16. This is just ridiculous.
What is the record at an international event?
Someone's going to be able to pull that up.
I'm sure they will.
Enemy remaining.
1917, I've just been told.
Good vintage.
So, we certainly could end up getting there. This is absurd. They're taking chunks out of each other, and they're also still trying to showcase new stuff.
Yeah.
Different stuff.
Look, I know, because when we talk about G2, especially on this map, Pearl is a fantastic map for them. Their map pool is really impressive. EDG still showing depth and new looks at this point.
It's absurd, and it should make you feel scared if you support any team other than EDG at this event.
Yeah. But right now, they are tied at 16 apiece. Again on the attack.
But Kang has the attack op this time. We haven't seen this at any point, I believe, in the match so far.
Deep look towards A, though, from G2. Look at the space they're controlling here. Keeping these two players on that pendulum swing rotation. Trent kind of, I think Valen as well, both able to kind of fill the gap as needed. Jorgamo, this is a lot on your plate, mate. This is a lot of pressure. That's a pixel. He's found a body. Oh, another! He's got two again! This man is something. I don't know where he keeps getting 2 kills from, but every time.
Now the rest of G2, though, need to fill up this area. Valen needs to make sure that EDG can't cross.
Oh my God, Simon's still good for it. I thought there was a bit more of a fight on that, but it is one out by G2. Stalwart and holding towards middle. Leaving just the man himself, right? Kang.
And an almost impossible situation. I mean, he's got an attack operator. He didn't even see a soul this round. Didn't have a chance to have impact. And it's also got to be rattling through the back of the heads of EDG
30 seconds left.
If they hadn't allowed Leaf to stick the defuse in a prior round, they would have won the map already.
Can't feel good. If there was anyone to do it, it would be this man. Oh God, there was a feeling in the room.
If the trip hadn't gone off and activated the slow, I might have believed.
Okay, 17-16. Back with G2 with the chance to close out now.
At this point, I don't even want them to close it out
here.
here.
Let's keep going.
I want them to see it, let's at least tie the record. If you got to this point and you don't get the record.
Kang just Spider-Man meme and Spawn. We both looked at each other, knives out.
The operator's still there for Kang. Maybe a little bit more fireball this time on the defending side, of course.
All set.
G2 have to once again rally themselves forward on this attack. Can they close out now? Can they make it up to 18? Early control being fought for towards that B main approach.
Yeah, just using the salvos there to cancel Trent's drone, make it feel like Kang is playing with the operator towards B long, but they're pretty confident about it, pretty bold. They disrespect that.
Oh, Kang looking for it, but they are just avoiding him. They've managed to navigate away from this.
They've got the read, and Valen's created a good timing to hit the A site. The question is whether they can actually hit that. They're kind of meandering around at this point. It might give EDG a timing to spread back out. Yep. And Smoggy in the same spot as Jorg was, but they did get the little bleep there.
Yeah. I wonder if it is heard again. LAN audio is a little bit different at times, harder to isolate those
And
sounds,
Valence
but-
missed the timing here as
Whoa,
well.
whoa,
Lauren.
whoa. Kong Kong is right here. He's gone down. This could be the floodgates open. Do they speed up off this? Taking pause for thought towards Art, but Simon needs to make a masterpiece out of it. He can't. G2 now on the line. This could be over. G2 surely in the driving seat now. A 4v3. Oh, G2, prove me wrong. Kids, proving me wrong. Valorant and Jogamo digging back in though. It's done. G2 make it across the line. Sensational scenes here in Bangkok already.
What a way to open a series. If this does end up being a Grand Finals preview, then you've got an amazing end to a potential tournament here. That match, that map was beautiful.
That's only map one. Bind is up next.
Yo, nobody.
Nobody.
Oh,
did he get there?
Plug the mouse in, mother.
Oh.
Red Bull gives you wings.
To face your death, cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win, and I'ma do it again. Watch me win, then watch me do it